3 slides or so. And once we get to the 33rd slide, I want to go over something that's important to me, something that's helped me gain a whole bunch of leads. As you know, being a commercial, not a commercial, it's just a new construction agent, every day is an open house. And that's something that my sales manager, Claire Larson at Woodside Homes, explained to me. Every day is an open house. So every day you've got to prep, and you've got to fluff the cushions, and you've got to make sure that the house is clean and all the lights are turned on. And what does the outside look like? Make sure there's no garbage out there. Are the signs out? Do we have balloons put out? But today we're going to go into all that. So let's start out. Let me click this next slide. Let me see, got it here. Okay. Did that work? Let's see. Turn on, turn off. Let's see. Hey, Ritz. I don't know if you're here, but let's see. I need to click to the next slide.
All right, I guess it's on the other device.
Uh-huh.
Did Hunter set up the other device as well?
He did, and it's on. It looks like.
Let me send Hunter then. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. This works. Guys, bear with me as I wait for Hunter to come in and help me with this little remote. McKenna, do you want to tell us a little? I mean, I skipped you because I knew so much about you already, but do you want to tell everybody else about you and what you've got going on?
Sure.
While we're waiting.
So I'm McKenna, and I am a part of Courtney and Ben's team. I've been a part of their team since I think last summer, and I was in property management before for I think 3 years, and then I just decided I wanted to get my license and move on. So that's what I'm doing.
Yep, and we are excited to have McKenna here, and she's got a little baby, Penny. She named her Penny because of me. My name is Ben, and she calls me Benny, Uncle Benny.
Yep. Benny and Penny.
No. No, what's Penny's first full name?
Penelope is her actual name, but yeah, Penny for short. So
such a cute name.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Well, while we're waiting, we'll go through this. So the next slide just talks about the course overview, and I don't know if do you all have your paperwork in front of you regarding this chapter 7 of Ignite? If not, that's okay.
I don't have it. I don't know if anybody else has it.
Okay, I'll do my best to explain what the next slide is, and then once Hunter gets down here to help with the slides.
Hunter's on the way, and Corbin, are you part of the Ignite group chat on WhatsApp?
Yes.
All right, I just posted the full guide, so yeah, you can download it if you'd like.
Thank you.
Hunter, I can't get this thing to work. Oh, that one's separate from this one.
Yeah, so we're just on the Zoom link on there.
Okay.
So now you should.
Oh, this is. I'm trying to control that with this. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. On this. Okay, great. So we're going to go down. Okay. So today we're on capture leads with open houses. Kind of go down this. We're going to go over best practices, how to prepare, prospect, and pursue. And pretty much from there, we will go over any ahas that you have. But first off, I want you all, if it's just one question or a couple questions, over the next, let's just say minute, tell me some questions that you've always wanted answered regarding open houses. And let's just kind of just shout them out there if you have any. If not, we'll just move forward. But does anybody have any questions that they would love to be answered that hopefully we can answer by the end of this session?
Either just I guess when somebody comes in, say they're unrepresented, and maybe you're representing the seller, and they're ready to jump in, like just the process going from there. And then let's say you're just sitting in for an open house, and an unrepresented buyer comes in, and they're ready to jump on it. Like, what would be the process going forward?
Okay, I'm definitely going to answer that one for sure. Great question, Corbin. And we're going to dive deep into that process as well. So anybody else have a question? Any questions that they want answered?
I was curious about, or just any additional information about how you went about marketing an open house versus, the standard Facebook, Instagram, the social media.
Yep, because social media is a part of it, right?
Correct.
But for sure, Stacy, I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, a lot of times we just throw the open house together over a weekend and hope that somebody comes by. And it's like the worst thing ever. It's like we've done no preparation or whatever. And so marketing is a huge piece of this. We're building for an event. And that's what we got to think of each open house as. It's an event. And it's like I'm sure you've seen other agents that hold these awesome movie events at the end of the year as like a client appreciation. Well, you just don't throw that together all in one weekend. It takes a lot of time and preparation. So yeah, we'll definitely go over that as well. So McKenna?
Sorry, what did you say?
I was just wondering if you have any questions regarding open houses. If not, we'll just move along.
I don't think I have any at the moment.
Okay. Let's move forward then. So nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. And that is 100% true. I like to envision myself as an agent that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I get, the more leads I get fed, the bigger I get, and there's no ceiling to how big I can get as well. So it's like I'm a hungry hippo, or I'm a hungry agent. It's just like keep feeding me more and more leads, and hopefully I can take care of them. So let's talk about dispelling some limiting beliefs. And then these are kind of negative, and then we'll talk about the opposite of these, how we can dispel the limiting beliefs. So number one is, I don't have a listing to hold an open house, is what it should say. Okay, well, I don't have any signs yet, or I may not have the answers to all the questions that visitors have. Open houses don't really work because most people look online, or I just won't feel safe. So the idea here is let's dispel these beliefs. So looking at these 5 items, can anybody dispel this in a positive way on any of these 5 items? So let's just take a look at I don't have any signs yet, right? So a lot of times when you're brand new, it's expensive to get going with everything. But guess what? Open houses don't have to be expensive, because a lot of times you can lean on the nearly 350 agents that are here in the Westfield office. I guarantee there's a couple of agents that won't be using their signs, and we can reach out through Facebook, through Google, and or just here at team meetings and ask if anybody has some signs. I don't have a listing to hold open. Oh my gosh! So there are so many agents that that don't hold open houses themselves that have current listings, and they are more than willing to let you hold an open house for them. But I'll put a caveat to that, which is you yourself kind of want to be picky with the open houses that you hold, because yes, we're there to sell the house, but if you're doing it for somebody else, then your job is to not just sell the house, bring in a ready, willing, and able buyer, but you're also there to find buyers, right? I may not know the answers to all the questions visitors have, and that's fine. Maybe we can talk about that. What would be some questions that visitors might have on their first time to an open house? What do you think those could be?
Amenities, floor plan.
Yep. Amenities, floor plans, square footage. Those are kind of the normal questions, right? What about HOA? You know, how much does the HOA cost? Do the streets get paid? Does the snowplow come through? Where's the closest schools? Those type of things. So if we prepare ourselves through the week and really plan for this event of the open house, then for sure we're going to have those answers. And so that's a great way to dispel that limiting belief. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. That's really, yeah, I think in the back of my mind, that's always in the back of my mind. But the truth is that even though everyone's still looking online, half of those individuals, 51%, more than half, are actually still go out and get out of their cars, and they will look at open houses just because they're curious. I won't feel safe. That's actually a pretty good one, because I've known some pretty crazy stories. There was an agent that was selling with Woodside Homes, and again, because new construction, every day is an open house. Well, there was a kind of a vagabond type person up in Park City who made his home in a closet for a couple days, and one of the agents came in and found them there sleeping, and so it's true, you might not feel safe, but one thing that you can do in this business is you can always bring a buddy. You can always bring somebody with you so that you will feel safer. And don't forget, this is Utah, and there's lots of ways to protect yourselves here. Okay, so we're talking about capturing leads with open houses. Sellers, buyers, neighbors, you or the agent are the ones who benefit from open houses. So how do sellers, I'll call on McKenna for just a second. So how do sellers, if you're there, how can sellers benefit from you holding an open house, McKenna?
I think they're trusting you to sell their house, right?
Right, right. And this, you know what? And this is something that me and Courtney always talk about. I'm like, why are you holding an open house on the very first week that you got the listing? Because that's just her. She just jumps right in. She wants to do the open house. And we kind of always are fighting back and forth, like, let's prepare for this. Let's send out flyers. Let's do that. She goes, the first open house I do for the seller because they need to know that I'm there and I care. And so I'm like, okay, I can see that. Even though we're not 100% prepared, sometimes it is good just to show the seller that you're there and you're caring, and that you're happy that you got the listing, right? The next one is buyers. Does anybody want to take on buyers? How do buyers benefit from an open house?
They get to see the actual property.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And it just gives them opportunities on a whim to say if they're out at the grocery store and then they see your open house signs with balloons on the way back. if they're in the market and they can just pull right in, huge benefit to them, because now they didn't have to contact an agent and schedule it or whatever. So they can just go right into the open house. Neighbors. So this is a really big one. Neighbors are benefiting because they themselves are wondering, how much is their house going to go for, right? And then of course, us as the agent, we get it to, we're benefiting because of all three of those individuals, the sellers, buyers, and neighbors. We get to be in contact with all three of them. So we get that benefit. The benefits of open houses. Number one, they're inexpensive. You can spend a lot of money on these, but by and large, to prepare for one of these, let's talk about that. If you're getting paid, let's say on average, 2.5% to 3% for being the listing agent. Marketing materials. How much are you spending on marketing materials for this very important event? That could be say $150 for, we'll say 200 postcards to go out to the surrounding areas. Like I said, you don't have to buy all of your, like the highest, fanciest A-frames for road signs and directionals. There are inexpensive open house signs out there. It's also a prospecting tool. So this is a great, and this is going back to Corbin's question. How can I use this so that I can have a great turnover with my leads? Because we definitely want to use these to find buyers. There is a high ROI, but I'll say the one caveat to that would be, you are investing quite a bit of your own personal time to get that high ROI, and you're also going to spend, the way I like to do open houses is I do an open house for the neighbors first, and then I'll do an open house for agents and buyers second. So typically that'll be from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I'll go knock on doors. I'll have orange juice and like some healthy muffins to get them out. And then come lunchtime, I'll just pop out the water, and then buyers, agents, and buyers themselves can just have the water. And so, but you're there, you can be there for 4 or 5 hours or more. So there is an investment in your time for sure. And then of course you're going to get qualified leads. So here's a question for everybody. Who here believes that anybody who walks through, whether they have an agent or whether they don't have an agent, do you believe that they're just tire kickers? Are these people that just come in and they're just wasting time? Or do you believe that these individuals could be qualified leads?
I think you have to assume that anybody can be.
Yeah. So you're assuming that anybody can be a qualified lead, right? And all that we have to do is learn how to qualify them ourselves. And I agree. It's as soon as they walk in through the door, they're not there to waste time. They have other things they could be doing: shopping, work, spending time with their family. If they're there at your house, they're a serious individual. Okay. Anybody have any ahas yet that they want to share? Kind of some basic stuff that we're going on.
Having just gone through the process of buying, before I had an agent, and well, actually after the agent, that was what I tried to do. I planned out and hit as many open houses that I was interested in looking at. And my initial goal was to try to find an agent that I liked by going to the open houses.
Oh,
and then when I signed with an agent, I tried to basically not bother her. So I would hit as many open houses just so I wasn't pulling her and inconveniencing the sellers.
So Stacy, you bring up a really good point. You were from out of the state and you needed to find somebody that you can trust. And I don't know if this was your intent, but basically you got to see them in action, right? You got to see them under the gun and how they react to you. I love that. That's great. Anybody else have any ahas? If not, we'll move ahead. Okay. All right, so we'll move on to best practices. So be purposeful, not entrepreneurial, right? So a purposeful agent is one, and the best way for me to explain this is when Woodside Homes first gave me my community in Saratoga Springs, my sales manager told me, I want you to pretend, and here's the thing, I was already an entrepreneur before. I had a business before. I knew how to act intentional. But she told me to act as though this community and Woodside was a franchise, and that it was up to me to manage it the best way possible. And that helped me become more purposeful and not entrepreneurial. Anyways, so the very first thing is we got to set goals. When we talk about goals, sometimes you just never know how these open houses are going to go. And so some of the goals could be, okay, I have 200 marketing material, marketing pieces, postcards that I've sent out, but I have a total of 220 that I created. So I've got 20 left over. I could take those 20 now and say, okay, there are 20 doors around the open house. I'm going to go out and go knock all 20 of those doors and hand each one of them a flyer. So that could be one of the goals. Another goal could be, and by the way, one thing I hate at the end of each day when you're doing an open house is having a handful of brochures or something that you made up and you know how much money you put into it, and then throwing it into the garbage because you know that the next week you're going to lower the price on the house or something. That's terrible. Next thing, pick the house. So when it talks about pick the house, this could be, let's say you've got 3 listings, you're gonna pick the house. Got some notes on this one. Let's see. It goes. Okay. So picking the house is a crucial step in the open house process. It's important to look for great and visible location, preferably not more than 3 turns from a major road. And so I want you to think about that. What is this? Oh, do you guys see all those emojis? I have no idea what those are. Let's see. So picking the house. So make sure that once you've picked the house, you know the best routes to get there and probably the most scenic routes as well. You don't want to be bringing people through the worst parts of town in order to get to your house. As you prepare for the open house, you should get to know any close shopping centers or grocery stores, coffee shops. Remember, when you're choosing the house, you don't always have to pick the most expensive house on the market or the least expensive. Consider the average price of houses that are selling in your market and adjust your choice of house based on this. Let's see, if the goal of an open house is to generate and qualify leads, what other things should we think about before we pick the home for the open house? And again, sometimes you don't have the choice to pick the house, kind of the house picks you or the homeowner picks you. You don't get to pick the house. But sometimes you might have 3 or 4 or more homes in your inventory. Hopefully you have as many as you want. But just remember that the whole point of this is to generate good qualified leads. Prepare and practice. So before you host an open house, prepare a list of questions you may be asked and practice your conversation starters. Some of those questions you face might test your knowledge of the house and the market. So again, this goes back to what Corbin was talking about. You make sure that you have a list of possible answers to possible questions that that might come your way. Usually it is about the community. Usually it is about the house. Most people know the communities around where they're wanting to go. So most of the questions are going to be directed towards neighborhood, demographics, and then features on the house. And yeah, that's about it. Pick the time and theme. So is it going to be Thursday night? Wine and cheese open house Sunday afternoon? I'm not a wine and cheese guy, but I do know some people that throw some pretty awesome open houses and spend a lot of money doing that. I will say that there are times to not have an open house. Can anybody guess what those times might be? Like, when would you not do an open house? When are the worst times?
Maybe middle of the week, during like average work hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's really accurate. Definitely Saturday is going to be your best day. But what happens on Saturdays? We'll say in the morning, locally in the community, you might have, families going to football games, basketball games, cheerleading, dance. There's tons of stuff that can be going on. Usually that's not enough to cancel an open house, but I will say some of the bigger games here, Utah versus BYU. No offense to any Utah State fans or Weber, but usually those type of games, just nobody shows up to open houses. However, I've had a lot of luck on holidays. I really have, because people have the time to go out, and so I don't count out holidays to do open houses. I'm not a Sunday guy. Sunday's my recharge, but some people might actually ask you to do an open house on Sunday. And I know that there are people out there that are more than happy to see a home on a Sunday, because it's the same as the holidays. It's just a day that they can go out because they have the time. Okay, so know your market. Again, this kind of goes along with the questions. Be prepared for anything. Some of the more important, stats to know is how many homes have sold in the area, what house that sold, what was the price, and what were the concessions, what are people usually giving for concessions, and is it a good time to buy or is it a bad time to buy? So having those statistics around is good. Be safe, use the buddy system, arrive early, park on the street. Does anybody have any concerns about being safe? I mean, I guess it's something that's always in the back of my head. And I will say this, years ago, like we're talking 2010, when I had my license and I was not an active licensee, but I did have someone fall on one of my houses. It wasn't an open house, but they were showing it and they fell and broke their leg. And it was the most scariest thing I think I was ever part of. I thought I was going to lose my license and everything. So make sure under snowy conditions that you are arriving early, and think of other people's safety as well. Make sure there's no snow on the driveway and walkways. This was written during COVID, so COVID's a thing, and people still are concerned about their health. Follow market center guidelines, turn on the lights. That's a big one. So, okay, any ahas there? Starting to cruise through these now. What time is it too, by the way? Almost 10:30. Do we want to take a quick 10-minute break? Does everybody, or do we need 5 or 10 minutes? What do you guys want to do?
Like 5 should work.
5?
Or I'm good either way.
Or we can keep going for maybe 4 more minutes, stop at 10:25, and then come back at 10:30. that okay?
That works for me.
Hey, got the thumb. Got the thumb, Stacy. Got it. Okay, cool. All right. So next, prepare, prospect, and pursue. This is where it starts to get exciting for me because I am a hunter and I love the hunt. I love finding people, qualifying them, and hopefully we get around to Corbin's question here. And I hope that you like the answer that I give. So the difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. When I read that, I'm like, what is the difference between big and really big? Any of you guys have a clue? Because I look at that, I'm like, big and really big, I guess Gary Keller's thought was, do the one thing, and maybe the one thing is the really big thing that you have in the back of your mind. But sometimes there's the goals that you make and you think they're big, but then you can even go bigger, right? Anyways, okay. Prepare, prospect, and pursue. So most of the work for open houses is done before the day of the open house. You're going to prepare your mindset and practice conversations. So do any of you, I know when you started Ignite, they did kind of pair you up with individuals. Do you still have partners that you can call or rely on to throw ideas against and maybe even role play with? Are you guys doing that still, or did you ever do it?
I remember doing it a while back, but it was more so with it wasn't like set up from like this.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, I'm open. Anybody on my team's open to practice with you. Something that we talk quite a bit about. I know that that's the culture here at Westfield. Anybody who needs help, that's actually why we came over here, is because we knew everybody was so giving and charitable with their time and all their knowledge. I'm sure anybody here can help you with practicing conversations. But what do you guys, did you guys do anything to prepare your mindset? Just give you an example. I'm a prayer. I like to pray and get into that mindset. I believe that I always need that higher authority to help me out, because I'm just human and immortal. So. Okay, let's cruise on. Let's see, it's close to time. Okay, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back here at in 5 minutes. So 10:30. All right. Give me a thumbs up on your screen again if you're ready to go.
Yep.
Cool deal. Okay. All right. Make sure this thing works again. All right. So, okay. So for this next half, how close are we to? Oh, we are. Okay. So Monday says before the week before the open house preparations. Monday, select the house. This could be any day, really, right? Monday, select the house. Tuesday, post online, walk the neighborhood, invite neighbors to showing. Wednesday, post online again, install a yard sign. Thursday, post online again, invite database. Friday, post online again, prepare market statistics, print flyers, and door knock. Okay, now that's a whole lot of posting online, which is very important. I say do it every day. That's great. That's a great way to prepare. It says Friday. So if we're doing, I'm assuming in this case, Saturday's the open house. So if Friday says post online again and then door knock, I want to suggest Thursday night is a great night to door knock, and I don't think you have to do any of these exactly the way that that we're showing it here. But the idea is, if you go and door knock Thursday night, and let them know, hey, we're gonna have orange juice and we're gonna have orange juice, we're gonna have muffins. Come on over. This is actually why I do a neighborhood open house before the buyers agents and buyers, because I think I saw a statistic. It's like something like 5 or 6% of all of your sales on your listings come from neighbors. And so you might as well play the odds to your favor and go and knock Thursday night, because Thursday nights are the least busiest out of all the nights. It seems to be here in Utah. That seems to be the case. And then Friday gets kind of busy with date night and games and other things like that. So I suggest doing that on a Thursday night, and maybe just ask them a few questions. Number one, have you seen that this house is for sale? Number one. Number two, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? Do you like the neighborhood? Is this your forever home? Because the idea isn't, again, it's to sell the home, but it's also to find individuals who will be either buying or selling. And before you are a seller, you're always a buyer. And so if you're knocking on people's doors and you're asking those type of questions, make sure that you are putting down their names. In fact, I want you all to do this. So go to your app store. Who has Apple and who has what are your phones? What does everybody have here? I've got an Apple iOS system, and I have this free app. It's called Sales Rabbit. So write this down. So Corbin, he's got an Android. So find Sales Rabbit, and I think Sales Rabbit is on Android. But this is a canvassing app, and you guys, it's so good because it allows you to create dispositions for your neighborhood. It's basically an app that you would see solar salespeople using, or pest control, these appointment setters that go and knock on doors. They have that. And if you're wanting an actual platform for real estate, they will customize this for real estate agents. And you can have an awesome platform. But it does give you dispositions such as not interested, interested, what else? Do not answer, no soliciting, just tons of different dispositions that you can use on the free. And then you can also upload contracts. So you can actually put people under contract on their doorstep if you are that bold. I've never been that bold, but I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's possible. Anyways, Sales Rabbit, that's a great one to use. Okay, let's move on. So we've got what clients like to know. So they like to know about the community and the neighborhood information. That's really good. If you can, again, if you're farming an area after you've had an open house, people like to see how that information, what that information looks like monthly and quarterly. And so I would say, if you're farming an area after an open house and you're really getting to know your people really well, they love this type of information. HOA information, what's happening in the city, new businesses that are opening up. Okay, relocation information, first time buyer specifics, mortgage information. Let's see. Okay, prospect. So build trust and rapport. And I think we're really close to the point where, okay, let's go to, so If you've read the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, then you've heard of leads, listings, and leverage. Open houses are all about leads, leads, and leads. An open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly time as an investment. I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, how did you ever do like new construction? That's so boring to sit in a model home. It's like, yeah, it's boring, but also every day I would collect 3 to 5 decent leads. And Saturdays were your best days for that. So every day was a prospecting day. Every day was an open house, and it is a great way to find leads. Let's keep going here. Greet everyone that comes in the door, engage in conversation, and be positive. Okay, here's where I'm going to stop, and we're going to start talking specifically about Corbin's question. So hold on one second. Now, McKenna knows a little bit about this because we've talked about this before, but has anybody heard of Jeff Shore and the 4-2 formula? Give me a thumbs up if you have heard of him before. 4-2 formula, Jeff Shore. Okay, nobody has. That's actually a good thing. So the 4-2 formula is a pattern that will provide you with the structure you need to understand your clients, and based on understanding how you can accomplish the elusive sales nirvana called mutual purpose. So I want to talk about mutual purpose for just a second with open houses. Mutual purpose is becoming an advocate rather than an adversary. When I first got into real estate, I didn't understand the whole win-win concept. I thought that if I was to do a good job for my seller, it was all just a one-way road, and it was just them getting their way, them winning, them getting 100% their asking price, not paying anything extra. Well, that's not how it works. So the idea is to become an advocate and not an adversary, a friend rather than a foe. And too many clients see in the sales presentation an us versus them mentality, right? So they walk in the door. So let's just kind of imagine this. They knock on the door, or they just come in because it's an open house, and you see them for the first time. Already, once you lock eyes, they know that you're a salesperson and you're there to do what? Sell, right? Well, yes, and no, because we talked about this before. You're there to sell the house, but you're also there to collect leads and help out the individual who walks in there, especially if they don't have an agent. So we're going to take this on as though we're just speaking to someone that doesn't have an agent, and we are going to become their advocate. Okay, so we're going to break down this barrier of the us versus them mentality. So sometimes they think that you have to have a manipulative mindset when you're meeting with a new client. They also believe, or they've been trained to believe, that sales is about trickery and manipulation. So the 4-2 formula is for discovery. I want you to write this down, and if not, you can just follow along, and then I can send everybody my email. I'll let you know my email, and then, or just maybe text it into the chat what your email is, and I will send you a PDF of this 4-2 formula. Yeah, I know it's going to help you in the long run. So 4-2 formula is 4 discovery categories and 2 summary questions. You can also get this as an audiobook, the 4-2 formula. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I got your emails. Perfect. Thank you. So the very first discovery category is trust building. So Corbin, let's say you were sitting in an open house. Have you done an open house before yet, Corbin?
Not yet.
Okay. So let's say you're sitting there, you're at the kitchen table, you got your laptop open, you hear the door open. Now, just organically, what would you say to that individual as soon as they walk in the door?
Probably like welcome in, talking about like general aspects of the house, and then ask if they are represented or not.
Okay, I'm going to dispel that way of thinking. Okay, I don't want you to do that anymore. Okay, so the very first thing on trust building is you're kind of building rapport, right? And I know that that's actually what you do. You try to build rapport. I think naturally that's what we want to do is like, oh, hey, how are you doing? We talk about the weather, right? You enjoying the weather out? Oh, I can't believe you came out when it was so snowy or whatever. And so you get to know people loosely, and we have light conversation that way. And we start towards building a relationship of trust that way. Maybe you notice that they've got an awesome truck and you're a truck guy. Or Stacy, maybe you notice that they love St. George, and you can say, well, my husband hates St. George. No, that's not a good way to get to know them. But there's got to be some way of getting into their heart and mind and saying, hey, you can trust me. I'm here to help you out. Okay, so first category is trust building. Now, Corbin, let's just say somebody comes in the door and they're a very A-type personality, very strong personality, and they want to come in and they just want to go and start looking through the house. So you make eye contact again. They don't want any of the small chat. They just want to see the house. In that case, what would you naturally do?
Probably just say like, if there is a map or something, just give that to them, and then just say if they have any questions to,
I love that. Okay. Yes, I love that. Okay. So that is exactly what you're supposed to do. So after a trust building, or if you're not able to do some of the trust building up front because they're just in a hurry, they wanted to quickly pop in. Hey, I'm a neighbor, just want to quickly see upstairs because I never really saw it. Then absolutely let them go by and say, that's perfect. My name's Ben. If you keep talking to them, and that's the idea, keep talking to them, let them know that you're still the one in charge. My name's Ben. I'm with KW Westfield. When you come back down, if you have any questions, I want to point you in the right direction, right? Or if you've built that little trust, the number one thing you want to say is, well, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question. Or let me ask you permission to ask you some questions. Always put the ball in their court and let them know that you're there to answer questions, because you're going to start feeding them value. And by the end of their tour, the idea is you're going to know them. You're going to know the exact house that they're looking for, and you're going to become their agent, right? So when they come back down, let's say they go upstairs, they look at the, they look at the bedrooms upstairs, they go down into the basement, and then they come back up. Now's your opportunity to just approach them and say, well, do you have any questions about the house, right? And it's kind of nice to let them go through, take their time and look at the house. Sometimes people that act like they're in a hurry actually end up staying there the longest, longer than most people. Because they're in such a hurry to look at the home. Once they find out, oh, this home does have that fourth or fifth bedroom, then they're willing to look around a little bit longer, and sometimes they end up staying longer. So the minute that they come back down into the kitchen, you start asking them the next discovery category, which is motivating questions. So a motivating questions would be, so why are you looking? What brought you to the house today? And maybe it was a marketing piece. Maybe it was they're a neighbor and they actually want to buy that house. And which, by the way, that's happened to me at least twice. We had an open house and they they came across the house and said, hey, will you list our house? And by the way, we want to buy this house. So it was the strangest thing. Anyways, so asking the why, and the whys usually lead to the next discovery category, which is a current dissatisfaction. Okay. So what is the difference between a why or a motivating reason that they want to move and a dissatisfaction? Does anybody know that? Took me a little while to kind of figure this out, but when we're talking about the psychology of why somebody might want to move, there is a real big reason why they actually take that first step towards looking at a new home, and that's usually a dissatisfaction. And so a lot of times buyers will say, you know what, yeah, I'm needing the extra space. Oh, okay, you're needing the extra space, well, tell me more about that. Well, you know, we're having more children, we got a dog, we, you know, I opened a business, we've got tons of storage needs, you know, it could be whatever. And then the dissatisfaction might be, by the way, I'm also getting, or I'm getting a divorce, there was a death in the family, whatever. And so by asking those probing questions of what else, why are you doing this, you're going to get down to kind of their golden nugget of what is motivating them to be a buyer. So the fourth discovery category is going to be the future promise question. And so a future promise question sounds like, so Corbin, it sounds like, you know, you don't like the house that you're currently in because you don't have enough storage, you got a new dog, and by looking at a house like this one, obviously it's bigger, you feel like that, let's say a year from now, you're going to have this all of the storage capacity that you need, correct? It's like, yes. Okay. So that's just kind of the beginning part. I will typically, I suggest going and downloading the 4-2 formula, listening to Jeff Shore's book of the 4-2 formula to go over the other two items of the 4-2 formula, which is the summary of the dissatisfaction and the summary of a future promise. And listen to the whole thing. And if you ever want to role play with me and get more information from me on how to do this properly during an open house, I would love to help you out. But yeah, I'm definitely download this book so that you can figure this out, because it's going to bring in more leads than you. It'll bring you in some good leads, and you'll have intention with your open houses. So anyways, does anybody have any question or any ahas during that?
I think it was just more so like, because I remember somebody talked about it a while back, where you don't want to answer all their questions, you know, before they have a chance to even look at anything, but also like just, you know, giving them trust or allowing them to feel like you trust them, but also vice versa, to just kind of like go and explore and see it. And if they do have questions, if they're ready to talk to you, then
yeah,
they can kind of come back.
Yeah. And really, it's, let's say somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, well, we're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and you don't learn anything about them. And then you just assume, oh, well, you know what? I did my homework on this community, and I know that there's another 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's got a 3rd-car garage. And then you just assume that they'll love that. They're not gonna see that as a value that you're bringing to them, because number one, you don't know anything about them. Number two, they haven't explained anything that they, you know, if they, yeah, you haven't explained anything to them. You don't know their dissatisfaction. You don't know what they're moving away from in order to know what they're moving towards.
They could need like 2 more rooms or an extra car garage. Like
Right.
you just don't know that.
Right. Well, and if somebody says, you know what, I need a bigger yard, well, what does that mean? Right? You have to be willing to say, well, what does that look like? You know, it looks like if you live in the same neighborhood, you probably got a quarter acre just like this. So what does a bigger yard look like to you? You know, oh, well, I want actually a whole acre because my dream is to do, you know, gardening on it or whatever.
And I guess that can also answer a lot of other questions for you when it's like if you're kind of prospecting for them. It's like,
Yep.
well, let's say, they do want a bigger property. It's like, well, if everything was the same and the property was the size you want it, is this what you would be interested in?
Yep. 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 And I would say that is the best way to get a lead. Every time I do an open house, as long as I've done it properly, and I've marketed properly, then let's say if there's 4 people that come in, I'm going to get 1 or 2 of them to be, if they don't have an agent, if it's a Saturday and their agent isn't with them, I'll get 1 or 2 of them to be my buyer. I will become a buyer's agent that day because I care enough to ask the questions, to get down a little bit deep and get into the weeds with them. And I'm going to come away with a buyer. And so I personally love open houses. This is why I wanted to teach this class today, because whoever is on the call, I'm hoping to convey that that interest in the fact that when you do an open house, you're going to get a lead, especially if you do it this particular way. And people don't need the whole story of the house, right? They have eyes for themselves. They can basically see it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath on a quarter acre. They can see that. So they actually don't need you to say anything about that. Instead, what they need is an advocate, someone who's going to help them with their why, help them with their motivation, and help them get to what they're moving away from, and help relieve that current dissatisfaction, right? And everybody has dissatisfaction. Jeff Shore talks about, even Bill Gates, with his house, there's dissatisfaction there. Why? Because he's not living on his own island, right? I guarantee there's something there that Bill Gates is dissatisfied, even though he probably has whatever he wants in his life. So the idea is to get to that golden nugget, get that information out of them, and then always come back to that and use that as a motivator for their next house. And get them to sign that buyer broker agreement as soon as possible, because just like Stacy said, they want to see how good we are. She wanted to see how good the agent was at the open house, and what better place to show them than in somebody's house where they get to see you in action. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to teach you guys today, and I hope you learned a whole lot. Did I answer those questions, Stacy and Corbin?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, sorry.
Grace, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, just been listening.
Okay, good. I didn't want to leave you out. Is there anything that I touched on that you wanted to know more information on? Feel like
I don't think so. It was really good. I felt like I learned a lot more than I thought I knew. Like
yeah, good, excellent. And again, I'm here to chat. And Stacy and Grace, I got your email. I'll send over this PDF of the 4-2 formula of what I've written down, and any other information that you guys want to know, just correspond with me, and I'm happy to help. Okay, thanks, Corbin. I got yours too.
So yeah, I would have been there in person today. What is it? My phone died last night, and I thought it had turned on, and then I guess it hadn't turned back on, so my alarms didn't go off. So I was like, oh well.
You know what? I kind of like the fact that you were all online personally because I'm ADD and like seriously bad ADD, and having a live audience and then having to be concerned about other people, I'd be going out of my mind right now. I don't teach these very often, but I would seriously be wondering to, how's everybody doing live? How's everybody doing online? And I don't know. It's a lot. So I appreciate you guys willing to participate and stay on this whole time. I know I've long-winded sometimes, but what time is it? We can leave. We can end this now. But yeah, go out there and go kill it, and go do some open houses and find buyers.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you
time
so
today.
much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
guys, and have a good weekend. I'm gonna see ya.